to bring in garbage. For those of you who could, bring in some garbage. And one more, you, the garbage is going to stink. Because there's garbage that stinks up here. No. That's fine. And I give God honor to Tamsin and Joyce who've been dealing with the garbage. Because it does smell. Because it's garbage. I'm going to tell you what the Lord said to me yesterday. The ministers and some of the people in the class that I teach had the opportunity to take part in an amazing training this weekend. And when I tell you
Jesus
that I will never be the same.
Yes, God.
For some of you, I'm a little rough, so you ain't seen anything yet.
Yes, God.
Because I had to be delivered from opinions
Jesus
of people and words of people and different things. And I just bless God so much for, yes, I bless God for Pastor Trina Taylor, who has no idea when we did one of the exercises of what you pushed me to and what you imparted inside of me. So I give honor to you for that. Give God praise for that. You have to learn how to honor the vessels of God. And so when I was home, still just high off of everything that went down.
Yes.
And I was doing some things in the kitchen. I said, no, I just have to stop. And I went into my living room, as I said, and I began to speak to him. And when I got on my knees, I was praying. I looked up. And those of you who were here last week, these are, remember the flowers we gave out last week? And these were from this bushel of flowers. And they were beautiful and bright and vibrant and alive. And they were gorgeous. And some of you left home with the flowers. And so when I looked up and I saw them dead, like if you touch, like you can hear them crinkle. Okay? They're so dry, they're lifeless, there's no more life. And I had to be even careful bringing them because I didn't want some of the, because once I mess with them, they're going to fall off because they're dead. So when I'm on my knees and I'm worshiping the Lord and I saw the flowers and I said, wait a minute, God. And he said, do you see that there's no life? I said, yes. He said, last week there was life. I said, they were beautiful last week, 7 days. 7 days ago. They were beautiful. They began to open up. They began to bloom. They had a beautiful, pleasant aroma.
Yes.
They were gorgeous. They were full of life 7 days ago.
Wow.
168 hours ago. They were full of life, and now they're dead. And I looked and I said, wait, God, I remember filling this up. Not all the way to the top, but very high with water and some of the nutrients. The little packet that comes with flowers, those are the nutrients in the food for the flowers. And I filled it up, and I know I followed the directions. I said, so they're dead. He said, and this is what's happening to my people.
Oh, Jesus.
He said, how do you expect to live the life I've lined out for you when you are not in a place or in an environment to drink and to eat?
Jesus. Wow.
And I said, okay, God, their environment. He said, their environment killed them. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, the environment that they're in, the same environment that they were in last week. It's full of water, full of nutrients. And he said, so while they're there, they're going to drink and they're going to consume. Because there's something called transpiration that happens with flowers. So with the root, the water goes into the root and it goes up to the flower. Yes. Okay, and I'm going to teach you about transpiration and why it's important with the word today. He said, but even with, as we learn and as we've known, our bodies are full of open pores. We bring things in, we bring things out. He said the environment is key. He said the environment is key. And he said, tell people, you can't live in that. You can't live in that.
Wow.
You can't live in this. Your environment is key to you living the will of God, to you living the life that God has lined up for us. Your environment, many of us are in dead environments. So just a week ago, these were alive. He said, ask the people, what makes you think that you don't have to be in the environment of God and that you're going to be okay? What makes you think you can skip church and not come and you're going to be okay? We'll tell ourselves, 1 week is not going to kill me. 1 week killed them.
Jesus.
Wow.
We say that, right? Do we say that? We've said it.
Wow.
1 week off is not going to kill me. And he said, and another week off, and a
Jesus.
couple months go by.
Lord have mercy.
If this is what happened physically on the outside in 7 days, I said, God, that's such an illustration. He said, also let them know that I saw these flowers in my home because they're in my home and they're in my living room and I have to pass them every single day. And on Sunday, they were fine. And on Monday, they looked great. Mm-hmm. On Tuesday, they were fine. Like I don't remember when they did this. Yes. I don't know. I didn't notice this.
Wow. Wow.
And he said what happens is we only see what's on the outside and it's dying on the inside and you don't even know it.
Jesus.
He said, when is the last time you took spiritual assessment of where you are? When is the last time you consciously said, where am I spiritually? Where am I in my maturity with God? Where am I in my relationship? Like, where am I? Have I grown? Am I dying? Am I being depleted? Am I not getting anything? Because see, they don't have mobility to go out and get more water. They were depending on me to give them more water.
Come on, yes.
They were flat. I filled it all the way up here. I didn't think that by 7 days later that it'd be dead. Like, no water is in here.
Jesus.
I just kept, oh, it's so beautiful. And I kept going on with my day and I come back. They were depending on me to feed them.
Wow.
And when God reminded me of that, people are depending on you. But he said, they have to depend on you because they're not mobile. I want you to go to Jeremiah. Go to the book of Jeremiah. Go to Jeremiah chapter 17. You can't live in that. You can't live in that. I want to read to you. And we're going to stand in reverence of the word. Because this is not my word. This is not a word from another book. This is the word of the Bible. And I'm not being traditional and I'm not being legalistic. I'm in awe of him. Yes. I want you to go to Jeremiah 7. All right? I'm sorry. Chapter 17, verse 7. I apologize. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 7. Let me know, you guys ready?
Amen.
I'm going to read from the NIV version. It says, but blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. He will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when he comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bear fruit. You may be seated.
Amen.
We have to be like trees that are planted. And we don't know what planted really means. Because until you're planted, the roots are not able to grow and spread out. Because we're going from one place to another and we're leaving and we're coming based on emotions, based on life. And when we move, we cut off our life source. These flowers were depending upon me throughout the week to give them life. They were depending upon a person. Many times we depend upon flesh. I asked you guys to read with me verse 7 through verse 8. But I want to read to you verse 6. I want to start with verse 5. This is what the Lord says. Cursed is the man who trusts in man. Cursed is the one who trusts in man. Now, again, these are flowers. It's not a man. But it was depending on another person. These flowers were depending on another person to give it water, to give it nutrients. And you see what happens when you depend on another person. You have to know how to depend on God. The Bible goes on to say you will be like a wasteland, like a dry area.
That's right.
We cannot continue to even, not just depend on another person outside of you, but depend on yourself.
Yes.
Because aren't you man?
Yes.
So thus is cursed is one who depends on man. So we'll be cursed if we depend only on ourselves.
Yes.
We will be dry like a wasteland.
Amen.
It says we will be like a bush in the wasteland. We will not see prosperity when it comes, which means it's going to come, but we won't see it. Did y'all get it? When prosperity comes, which means it's coming, but we won't see it. He will dwell in the parched places of the desert, in a salt land where no one lives. You'll be by yourself because you're dependent on yourself. So you all you got. You're like, me, myself, and I, right? That sounds great. We got songs about me, myself. We'll sing it. We know it.
Yes.
Right? That's all I got in the end, but it's not all you got in the end.
Right.
It's not.
Amen.
That's a song.
Yes.
And this is why culture, you gotta be careful.
Yes.
Because culture will have you singing something, you believe that it's scripture's word. Oh, get me, myself, I'm good. We need each other.
Amen.
But we need God more than anything.
Yes.
We need our source. This is why we have to be like trees planted by the rivers of water. Or this happens. Then he took me further into this and said, if you really think about it, because I just stood there and kept looking at these flowers and God just was ministering to me. He said, if you really look at it, they really did not stand a chance.
Wow.
They really didn't stand a chance because they were cut off from their original source.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yes.
And when we cut off
From the
our
branch.
original source, we don't stand a chance.
That's right. Jesus.
We will look alive.
Huh.
We will seem like we are blossoming.
Right.
Because even right after they were cut off from their original source, they were still closed up.
Yes.
In my presence and in my company, they began to open up and bloom. So to me, it seems like they're coming to life. It seems like they're opening up. They're coming to church. They're going to Bible study. They're working in the church. They're doing things. They're posting. They're reading. They're talking about a change. It looks like they're blossoming, but they cut off the original source.
Lord have mercy.
They made something else their source. So what I'm seeing on social media and Instagram and Facebook is not really what it is.
Jesus.
It looks alive and it sounds alive and the posts are great and the quotes and the scriptures. It's wonderful, but you cut off your original source. So it's only a matter of time before this happens.
Jesus.
And guess what? We can fool each other some of the time. But eventually you will begin on the outside to look like this. And the environment change. Your environment will change. The reason that God didn't talk to me about the garbage, when I walked in my door, I was like, what is that smell? What is that stench in my house? I said, it must be the garbage because I remember I threw some things away that had food in it. And if, I thank you, that had food in it, in the regular garbage can. And so now, the house is closed up. I come back home and I can smell this stench.
Yes.
I said, God, I got to get this smell out of my house. He said, your atmosphere is key. What's around you? Because when I walked in the home, all I could smell is garbage and stench and nasty. Many of us, that's what you smell when you first get in it. You first know it's wrong. You get in and sin and you decide I'm going to try this and I'm going to do that. And at first I know it's wrong. But after a while, just like, because you can smell the garbage. You can smell the garbage. When you put it right here, I smelled it, but guess what? I don't smell it anymore. Because I'm used to it.
Jesus.
I got used to the stench.
Yeah.
And it's my normal now. I don't even smell what I smelled when they first did it because I asked God, I said, God, help me do this. Because it stinks.
Yes, Lord.
And I didn't want to get sick to my stomach. But I'm used to it now. I don't even smell the garbage. And this is what's happening to us. Our environment looks like this.
Wow. So right.
Candy, it's your birthday. Give God praise for her birthday. Come sit here. Just because it's your birthday, I won't put you in the garbage. Yeah, please don't let me sit. Not with this outfit. Isn't she beautiful? Happy birthday. All right. Who wants to volunteer to sit in the garbage? Come on, Kenny. She raised her hand. Give God praise for Kenny. She just had a beautiful baby girl. She pressed her right here. All right. And I know you're sensitive with your nose.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yes, you are.
Yeah, she's very sensitive with her nose. And so she's surrounded by garbage. And God said, I need you to show them that when you're a tree planted by the rivers of living water, there's a certain place that you have to stay. Now, when you decide to get out of the will of God, when you decide that you don't need this and I don't know about honor and different things, and I'm not going to be planted, I'm going to leave because my emotions in life has gotten to me, and I left my original source. This is what you begin. You don't start off with this. You don't start off with this. It may be just that you start off with this. Hold that, yeah. All right? Because the fact that you got to know that something's off, something is wrong when you know that you're dealing with something, you sinned and you messed up, you dropped the ball. And so you're like, I can't even go to the church. I'm not going to the church. Saints like, why are you even going to go? So you just leave. The fact that you left is that. That's trash. You know that's not the word of God. You know that's not what you're supposed to be doing. I'm not talking about on vacation. I'm not talking about you took a vacation and you went away. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you left your place in God. And many times, thank you, Jesus, you leave your place in God before you leave the church.
Yes.
Behind the scenes, what we don't see when you were blossoming out here, you already left your source. You may have been still coming for a minute. I know it's getting bad. So when you leave church, when you leave that, you've already left your source. These were plucked and picked by a farmer or whatever you want to call them. And they picked the flowers and they decided to bottle them up for people because they're beautiful, right? But the minute it left its source, it began to die. So many times we leave while we're still here. Then we start leaving, we start picking up garbage. And then little by little, it begins to pile up and it begins to smell.
Yes.
And no matter what you think, you begin to exude what you are around. The reason that I had Candy sit over here is because I want Nadira to come up. Tamsin, you're there. I want you to come up because you still are in your position right here. I want, because I know, is your back still bothering you? Come up. Right there. No, right here by her. And right here. We represent life. We represent the life. We represent the God factor. And she surrounded herself. I hear you, Lord. This is prophetic for you, Candy. She surrounded herself with the environment of God. Yes. Godly people. She surrounded herself with godly knowledge. She surrounded herself, reaching out to the pastor. I need another book to read. Can you recommend something? Yeah, Candy. She's surrounding herself. She's doing hot topics. She's pushing and she's seeking and she's chasing after God. So she's surrounding herself. The moment she's home, even when she's not home, she's surrounding herself with teaching and learning while she's on the road, doing her job, but still surrounding herself with God. She's on the Bible studies. She's trying to call in. She's listening and watching the videos. She's doing hot topics. She's studying. She's reading. She's surrounding herself in worship. She's also ministering while she's gone. In the moment she's back, she's running back to the house. But she never left the house.
Amen.
Wow.
There's a difference.
Yes.
She never left her source. See, this is what I hope I catch you.
Yes.
Y'all could be coming when you look blossoming, but your source is gone. So this is what you look like inside.
Yes.
But because of the job that God gave her, even the fact that it's in a place where we would think not. Because she decided, I'm not doing any more secular music. But then God told her, I need you to go back here because I'm going to do some things in you, through you, with the people that you have to go surround yourself with. And then open up door after door after door. And it was all prophetic. We knew it, we heard it, we saw it coming. God prophesied. So he went back into an area, put her back into an area, but now she came back equipped.
Amen. Wow.
And she's ministering and she's talking and she's winning souls.
Amen.
But she never left her source.
Yes. All
She's
right
still
now.
alive. This is not her, but this is many of us. We're surrounded by that. Your environment is key. When you are going through what you're going through, when you're dealing with life and life is hitting, the fact that you know, because the fact that you're here, you know, you serve the only living God. So you gotta you gotta get out of your emotions and your life circumstances and know that I can never leave my source. I have to be planted.
Yes.
On the road, I'm planted. In the week, I'm planted when I'm not in church. You have to be planted. Sunday is the easiest day for Christians.
Yes, it is.
In my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
It's the easiest day. We're surrounded by our brothers and our sisters. We have encouragement. We have worship. We have cheerleaders. And we're like, yes, God. Sunday is the easiest day. This is the easiest thing for you to do is to come here. It's through the week that you maintain being planted with your source. Because once you're planted, then your roots go out to the streams. Water is life. Thank you. You can sit. Water is life. The word is life. This is what we eat, the Bible. Most of us will not open this until today. Most of us, we just won't. And I'm here, yes, I pray that God convicts you. Because we're talking to him and asking him and wondering why stress is taking over, anxiety is taking over, worry is taking over.
Yes.
Pain is taking over.
Yeah.
Why? When you are connected to your source.
Jesus.
You have the opportunity, you have mobility to get where you need to be. You have the mobility to get to church, to get to Bible study, to get to the different fellowships and the small groups that we have. You make a choice not to. We have to take personal responsibility. We make a choice not to. Thank you. Amen. Thank you, King. Thank you.
Amen.
You surround yourself. I talked about transpiration. Why do I talk about transpiration? Transpiration is not just what the flowers get. The water goes up to the root, goes up through the root, and it waters the leaves, the flowers, and everything here. But it doesn't stop there. This is the part we don't see. If these were alive and I was to put a plastic bag on top of it, like a big bag, and tie it, right? What you will begin to see develop in that bag are pellets of water, moisture. See, the water and the nutrients go in, and then the plants give off moisture. If you sit in garbage all day, if you let garbage enter you, and it's entering you, I'm going to tell you how. What am I going to give off?
Garbage.
I'm going to start to stink. I'm going to start to smell like what I'm around. I'm going to start to look like what I'm around. I'm going to start to act like what I'm around. I'm going to begin to sound like what I'm around. So when I sit here amongst the garbage, you think nobody can smell you.
Jesus.
But they can. You think nobody will see you.
Yes.
But they can. You think nobody hears that you're talking. You talk different. You're not as encouraged. You're not as faithful. You're kind of down. You're kind of negative. You're gossiping a lot now. It comes out. It has no choice. What's around you gets in you and it comes out of you.
Wow.
I talked about how the body is full of pores, right? We have so many pores that, when we sweat, we have pores. And as transpiration happens and we give out what we give out, it's because we're not guarding our gates. Now, I want everybody who's hungry to get this book. It's called Who's Guarding the Gate? I've had it for years. It's by Nancy L. Robinson. We'll put it in the group me. Who's Guarding the Gates is a book about your gates, your senses. That's why we were going crazy in the training, because we've been reading this book. And it guards your eye gate, what you see, your ear gate, what you hear, what's coming in through your hearing, your mouth gate, what you're saying, all right? It guards your heart, which is also a gate. We have so many gates and we don't guard them because we allow anything to come in. We allow anything to infiltrate us. If I'm listening to certain things on the radio, it's getting in. You may say, well, I'm not going to be singing it. Let me tell you something.
Yes, you
I didn't
will.
say that.
Association, you hear a word and remember the song.
Yes.
Whether it's gospel or secular, it doesn't matter. But it's inside of you. And what I want to say to, I'm not going to go deep into this, but if you were, if I was high, smoked out, drunk, went to the studio and created a song, started doing a song about love and I want to do this to him and I want to do all that stuff, right? That's on the song. Because what's in me comes out and it's on the song. We know about energy and it creates it. It's on the song. So when we're dancing, it's being transpired and transferred into our being. And we just think it's a good song. I'm not even going to go deep into that. But that's what happens. And then the next thing you know, you're like, why do I feel this way? Why am I sometimes angry? I used to listen to Onyx. Now I realize, wow. I had so much rage and I was listening to rage. And Onyx did it for me. What? I was hitting people. I was going crazy. And the craziest one is the one that I gravitated to with the eye. That was, whatever. That was one, and just crazy. DMX. You were like, we go crazy.
Right.
And then you're hype. And if you're hype and you go out somewhere and somebody says something, you're like, what? You just listened. That's all it is. But if I left, praise and worship, standing of you. Somebody cut me off. It's all right. Go ahead. Because I'm standing off him.
Yeah.
But if I just finish listening to what I listen to, I'm like, yo. But it happens. It's part of my environment. It's part of the people I'm with. The Bible says, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character.
Yes.
If I want to lose weight, I have to hang around Pam. I have to say, Pam, be my trainer. I don't want to be my trainer, but Pam, I want you to train me. All right. And I'm like, oh God, what did I do that for? I mean, and the thing, I know how to lose weight. I had the issue with my liver, but I had to go harder. So I know somebody who's going to make me go harder. It's Pam. I can't hang out with somebody who I say, girl, let's go eat. Yes, let's go. And then we go eat the wrong stuff. It's the company.
Right.
It's the company. Nobody's trying to intentionally corrupt your character. No one is trying to intentionally throw you off, but it happens. So you have to guard your gates. And while you're guarding your gates, this is what the last thing the Lord told me to tell you. He said it's important for you to guard your gates. And he dealt with the trash, and he dealt with the smell, and he dealt with me losing the source and the water and everything else that he was doing. I said, God, and then he dealt with me with the honor, which I thought I was going to deal with after, but I dealt with it before because the Holy Spirit led me to. He said, I need you to understand that when you're guarding your gates, one of your most important gates is the nose factor, because that's discernment. That's discernment. And God said, because I'm sending so many things to you,
Yes, Lord.
you got to be careful that you don't allow the company around to contaminate you. Because I'm sending you. And if you're not careful, your discernment's going to fool you. Now, this is a bottle of water. It's closed. I'm going to open it. And I'm going to pour this water into each cup because I want to show you something. And many of us, because we are not in the face of God, because we are not paying attention many times, and because we think like, I'm good. How many say, I'm good, I can listen to this. I'm good, I can watch that. Hello? Oh, so you know what I'm talking about. Right. I'm good, I'm all right with a couple songs. I can watch this movie. It's all right. I can listen to Cardi B, I'm good. It's just music. It's just a movie. It's a little gossip. I'm not gossiping, but you're letting them say everything to you. And you're not stopping them. So we all know it's water, right? So if I ask you to come up and drink the water, anybody can come and drink the water. You watch me pour it, you watch me open it, it's water, right? Now this is what's happening. God is telling me that many of us are falling prey to different things because we don't discern and we don't pay attention. And what he told me is that the most dangerous place to be, you're not even ready, is the church. So the most dangerous place is a church. Because we all came in looking like this, it was last week. We all came in looking like last week. The easiest place to get deceived is this church. Because what happens is that when you're saying, God, I want to make sure I don't have the wrong job, the counterfeit job, and I want to make sure I don't connect with the counterfeit spouse or the counterfeit friend. I want to make sure that I don't connect with the counterfeit vision even. All right? And so God, I'm paying attention. It's very easy to see the world as the world. If I walk into a bar, I know what to expect. I'm not walking into a bar looking for holiness. I know that I need to be on guard because some things may go off, some things may pop up. I go to the club. If I go to certain places, I'm in an environment where I already expect certain behavior, correct? I expect certain language because I'm in that environment. And so we're saying, I have my guards up. Well, I know if I'm going to a club to support my friend's birthday, this might not be the best place to find my boo.
Right.
Some of us find it in the club. All right. Because you listen to the song, I Fell in Love in the Club. Yeah, okay. But what I'm saying is you kind of look for maybe a more shady type of character there and say, I need to be on guard. And God said, that's not really the situation. Because we go there knowing that most likely it's going to be some things there. Okay? And it's obvious. We can see which one that we obviously wouldn't drink, right? Can you tell which one?
Yes.
If you say, if God said right, got your choice out, and because look out for counterfeits, watch out for the counterfeits. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Can you all see the different one now?
Yes.
That's obvious. That's the world. It's easy to spot the world. So when he's talking about counterfeits, he's not talking about the world. I'm not going to say that I'm waiting for the right job opportunity and it just looks crazy. I know this is not the one. And you're thinking, yeah, I discern that. You didn't discern that. It's obvious. You didn't discern, you just look. It's obvious. If somebody come up to us and like, I'm waiting for my husband, yo, mom saying, cursing and all types of crazy stuff, and look, you crazy.
now. Well, we don't know if he changed. It's crazy right now. It definitely is right now. And if he changes later, great for him. But if you're talking about God told me now I'm going to send you a husband, he's not ready now.
Right.
And you're not supposed to sit and wait 5 more years for him to get ready.
Right.
But we deceive ourselves. Because he said now, he's not ready now. Or she's not ready now. But it's obvious. I didn't have to discern. And most of us are jumping and clapping and shouting because we're like, oh, I figured it. I discerned that. That's not discernment. That's obvious. But I want to show you something. I'm going to have Timson come up again. Celine will come up again. Candy come up again. Joyce come up again. Because I want you to block their vision. I want you to stand here and block their vision. Can you guys get close? I need you to block. I don't want them to see. That's it. Really? Block the vision. All right, block. Are you blocking it?
Yes.
Block. Can you guys see?
No.
Are you lying?
No.
It's like, not today, it's Sunday. Okay. I'm doing something, so she's doing something.
Yes,
Doing
Lord.
something.
Yes, Lord.
Okay.
And I'm not drinking any of it.
Right?
She said,
What you doing?
So what you doing? What you doing?
all right, you may disperse. Now, they all still look alike, right?
Yes.
They all still look alike?
Yes.
They do.
They look alike. I'm glad. See, it stood up good. Nikki said, she said, no, I'm looking.
Amen.
They all still look alike. But I want to tell you now, 2 of them are poisonous.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them are poisonous. Which means I added something to them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you drink she said you would die. You would get very sick. Or potentially you could die because what I added to them could really harm you. Now, this is what God means about dessert.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Wow.
Teach people.
Wait. They look the same. I know my pastor, I saw her pour water in there, but I also trust, she said, 2 of them are not poisonous. So if I said, does anybody want to volunteer and come up and drink? Nobody wants to.
Nope.
And this is the perfect response that is imperfect for us.
Wow.
Because everybody wants to run away from it instead of dealing with it hands-on and allowing the gift that God has given you to discern to get close enough to smell them. Because if you smell them, you'll know which ones are not straight water. Learn how to discern. But we don't want to take the time. We don't want to get into the word. We don't want to pray about it. We just want to pick. And most of the time we're picking the wrong one. And then we begin to consume and we begin to drink. And then we begin to get sick.
Yes.
It is time for us, church, to be planted like a tree. I'm planted when I know this. I'm planted when I pray. Because discernment, he will speak, Holy Spirit will speak. Come up here, Alicia. I want you to discern which one, and don't say anything. I want you to discern which one is not pure water. Look at it, getting ready.
Definitely that one. She's not in water. She says on tap. You said 2?
2. So the 2 you push back are not pure water? You gotta learn to be confident in God. She back and pray. She's like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So she said this one, and she said this one, right? Okay, go back to your seat. Who wants to try? Tessa. and then I want to tell you. Just, we know that. We really don't find out the space. She's like, this is. Can you not move them out the spot?
Oh, she just messing.
So put them down. Now push back the ones you say are not water. Push them, okay? So she chose the same two. Okay, have a seat. Okay, give God praise for them. Now they both chose correctly. Now, what threw Alicia off is that this one
Was close to that.
is close to this one. Again, garbage. Again, what surrounds you? Because it was in the same environment, it began to smell a little bit like the poisonous one. What I put in them, one has alcohol, and one has, and it's very strong when you smell it, and one has witch hazel. It has a rose petal, so it has a smell. But they both tell you not to consume them because you'll get sick. And I put a lot in them, but I had to let them stand here and wait because the alcohol has to dissolve first, because you could have seen it right away if I would have let them move right away. And the witch hazel had bubbles, and I had to let the bubbles die down. So again, discernment, smelling, knowing, paying attention, praying, reading. This is what we have to do. And so when God gave me all this, I said, all right, God. He said, I need you to be planning. I need you to not cut off your source, because I give you understanding. I give you discernment. I give you revelation. I give you everything that you need. But when you leave my presence, you will easily pick one of the counterfeits. You will easily go the wrong direction. You will easily make alliances with the wrong people. You will easily have divine connections that are demonic connections. You have to be able to stay planted, because your life source and your life depends on your source. Your life depends on your source. It's time for us, church, to become who God has called us to become. And this is why the stress is happening. We're going the wrong way. We're tripping out. We can disconnect it from our source. So what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen to your life? And for those of you who know that God has called you separately, called you aside, consecrated you, raise your hand, just a quick up and down. You know, put it down. This needs to be you. You need to really pay attention. This needs to be you. And guess what? People may have to get cut off. Things may have to get cut off. Is it a sacrifice? Yes. Is it a challenge? Yes. Is it a different type of lifestyle? Absolutely. But when you know you're called and consecrated, I can't afford to choose the wrong one, the wrong path, the wrong person, the wrong occupation. I can't afford to and end up in this.
I know you're right.
And wasting so much time and got to work my way back to this.
Yes.
Which is harder.
Yes.
Coming out of garbage.
Yes.
I got to open up some windows like I had to do. You can put the worship on. We're going to move this. It's challenging. It's more challenging to clean up after all this, to get here. But is it possible?
Yes.
Yes. So there's some things that you just got to do. There's some things that you have to be willing to sacrifice for God. We go to Him day after day, and we go to Him with requests and with different things of what we need, and we need guidance. And He's trying to guide us, but we're picking the wrong things because we're not in tune with our source. We're not planted like a tree by the rivers of water. I cannot lose my source. Tell yourself that. I cannot lose my source. Because you can't end up like this.
Yes, God.
And back and forth. Back and forth. It's called lukewarm. Back and forth. It's called double-minded.
Oh my God.
Back and forth. It's gray. God understands that this comes with a lot. God understands that He requires more of you. God understands that people are going to begin to maybe judge you or not necessarily understand where you're going and what you're doing and why you have to do it.
Yes.
People may not understand, especially when we see what we see on television and social media about the church. You're like, why bother? It's not about that. It's about you being the church.
Yes.
God understands that this requires patience. This requires you to let go of control of knowing. This requires you to trust.
Yes.
This requires you to obey. This requires you to submit.
Yes.
It requires prayer time and study. It requires you to get to know him. Technically, that's a lot easier.
Yeah.
But this is what you end up looking like. And at first you don't see it. Have no more flowers from last because they all look like this. But the part that ministered to me the most was that it only took 7 days to get to that state from when they were in my possession. 7 days because I bought them for last week. I bought them Saturday, I think, or Friday for last week. So I'm like, wow, I got 7 days. They were beautiful at church. And they were beautiful when I posted the picture on Facebook. That wasn't when I first bought them. That was after I got home on Sunday. I took a picture because they were so beautiful. So I gotta take a picture and post it. And 7 days later, this is what I have. Do you think I still want this in the house? No, it's time to get rid of this. So it's time for some of y'all to get rid of this.